What's up, guys? D-Rock1992 here. For this next video and for my next About Actors video, I'm going to be talking about a guy who starred in the movie Sabotage, which I reviewed actually quite recently. Once I get these videos that video posted up, you'll be able to see it. Now, I already did a video on Arnold Schwarzenegger, the main star of Sabotage, and I talked about how great he is. Now, this guy was in Sabotage, but he probably was the second best character in the film alongside Arnold, behind Arnold. He kind of distinguished himself a little bit, but this isn't one of his best movies. However, I still want to talk about this guy and what a good career he's had so far. The guy I am talking about in this video is Terrence Howard. A lot of people may be asking the question, who is Terrence Howard? But you'll probably know him if you see him. If you see a picture of him. I think he's one of those actors who you're like, who? But then you look at the name, then you look at a picture and it's like, oh, that guy. Oh, you know, that guy was so-and-so. I think he's one of those guys. Anyway, Terrence Howard's had a great career. He's had some great small roles, or small independent roles. He's had, you know, some great big budget roles. He definitely is an actor who has made his claim to Hollywood fame in some ways. So, without further ado, I'm going to get right into it with his film career, which is what he is most known for. In 1992, he made his movie debut with the movie The Jacksons, An American Dream. This is a miniseries broadcast, actually, so it's kind of a movie. It's a miniseries in some ways. He stars as adult Jackie Jackson, and Jackie Jackson was the brother, one of the brothers of Michael Jackson, the famous Michael Jackson. So this film was his film debut, film/miniseries. Over the years, he started to try to get his name known. He tried to get his name known. In 1995, he stars in the famous movie Mr. Holland's Opus, which is a dramatic film, and it's a small role, definitely, for him. A bit role, but he's trying again to distinguish himself in many different ways. A movie here that he was in, an independent film, was a movie called The Best Man that came out in 1999. He got some awards for that. He was nominated for it. So it was a well-known film. It was, it was a film that kind of brought him a little bit of fame, I guess. In 2000, he starred in the Martin Lawrence comedy Big Mama's House as the villain. Actually, I looked at it and it's like, he was in Big Mama's House, but then it's like, he's the villain, the main villain in Big Mama's House, and it's like, oh yeah, that is him. So it's like, it kind of clicked that he was the main villain in the film. But yeah, Big Mama's House is, I'll be doing a video on Martin Lawrence at some point. I definitely will. So I'll talk more about that Big Mama's House in that video. But yeah, he was in Big Mama's House. That was an early role for him. He was in the well-known film Heart's War with Bruce Willis and Colin Farrell. I say it because I think people do know about it. He has a supporting role in the film. So, Heart's War. The one that really got him some popularity, though, was 2004's Crash. Crash is an Academy Award-winning movie, I believe. I think it won the Academy Award for Best Picture, it got a nomination for Best Picture, but Crash was an ensemble film. It starred Sandra Bullock, Don Cheadle, Matt Dillon, Brendan Fraser, Ludacris, and Terrence Howard, among others. This film was definitely, it's definitely maybe not as well known as some of your other big films. But yeah, this film is probably one of those films that's known to a lot of huge movie fans like myself. Crash, I've never seen the film. I'd like to see it, though, someday. Definitely. Also in 2004, he has a supporting role in the movie Ray. The movie that's about the life of Ray Charles. That's a movie that I've seen. Jamie Foxx plays Ray, and Terrence Howard plays a supporting role in the film. So then coming up is he got a lot of rewards, and he was nominated for the Academy Award for Best Actor for the 2005 film Hustle and Flow. It's an independent drama film. Terrence Howard actually has a starring role in the film. I think one of his first starring roles in movies was this film. And he was so good that he was nominated for an Academy Award for Best Actor for his performance. He was also in the movie Four Brothers in 2005, the Mark Wahlberg film. This movie starred Mark Wahlberg, Tyrese Gibson, Andre 3000, among others. Terrence Howard, a supporting role in the film as a police officer. But Four Brothers, basically it's about four brothers who avenge their mother's death at the hands of a thug of some sort. That's kind of what the movie's about. The movie's good. I really do like it. And now that I think about it, I do remember Terrence Howard in it in some ways. Just a bit role, but there you go. Throughout, he had some others. He was nominated for an NCAA Image Award for Outstanding Actor in a Motion Picture for 2007's Pride. He was in a few movies in the next couple of years that I've never really heard of before, honestly. But one of his best-known roles, maybe his breakout role, was 2008's Iron Man. When you enter into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, chances are you're bound to get your name known. Iron Man was the first Marvel film that was created in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And if you'd like to see the review of the first Iron Man, I have that review on my channel. But Terrence Howard starred as War Machine, UCAF Lieutenant Colonel James Rhodey Rhodes, better known as War Machine. So he starred in the first film, but then he had to be removed from the role. He was removed for Iron Man 2, and replacing him was his co-star in Crash, Don Cheadle. There are a lot of theories and stuff like that as to why Terrence Howard was let go from the first Iron Man film. And I think one of the reasons I heard was because him and the director, Jon Favreau, did not get along. They just did not have a good chemistry. So that's why Terrence Howard was let go. I think Don Cheadle makes a better War Machine. I thought Terrence Howard held his own with Robert Downey Jr. in the first film. I thought he was pretty good. So it was too bad that he had to leave. Also in 2008, he was the narrator of, and I mention this because I love baseball, he was the narrator of the Phillies World Series Championship DVD in 2008. That year, the Philadelphia Phillies won the World Series over the Tampa Bay Rays. One role here that I find neat is in 2009, he stars in his first voiceover with The Princess and the Frog. So kind of interesting. Actors do, a lot of times, you'll find a lot of actors in their filmographies have a lot of voiceover roles. So a lot of actors and actresses, they try to have those voiceovers in their career sprinkled in. And for some people, a lot of voiceover roles. In 2011, he stars in the film Winnie Mandela as Nelson Mandela himself. So Terrence Howard stars as Nelson Mandela, the famous South African leader. You know, the whole African apartheid thing. So it was a drama film adaptation of a book called Winnie Mandela, A Life. Winnie Mandela was the husband of was the wife of Nelson Mandela. So it kind of, this movie, I imagine, delves into the story of Winnie Mandela and how she dealt with Nelson Mandela's imprisonment. Nelson Mandela was in prison for 27 years or something like that. He was in prison for a long time. But, so I imagine that was kind of the story, what the movie was going for. Also in 2012, he starred in the movie Red Tails. Red Tails is a war film, and it also has Cuba Gooding Jr. in it, Neo, the rapper, David Oyelowo, who became later known for portraying Martin Luther King Jr. in the movie Selma, which came out last year. But Terrence Howard was in this movie, Red Tails. Co-starring role with Cuba Gooding Jr. 2013 was a good year for Terrence Howard. He starred in a bad movie. Actually, he starred in a bad movie, Movie 43, which is kind of a sketch comedy, kind of a Saturday Night Live type movie. Movie 43 did not do very well at all. It's, you know, I think 0% on Rotten Tomatoes, so it did horrible. He starred in a segment in that. Movie 43 is known for, probably best known for the amount of star power that was in that film. The amount of star power in that film is staggering. But anyway, also in 2013, he stars in the movie The Butler. And The Butler stars Forrest Whitaker. Terrence Howard is part of a... The Butler is actually a historical drama film. It's based on the life... It's based on the life of a butler named Eugene... Or, rather, this... is loosely based on the real life of Eugene Allen, who was a waiter and a butler who worked for the White House for 34 years. So it kind of loosely is based on his life and what he saw during his 34-year tenure as a White House butler. Forrest Whitaker stars as a fictional character, Cecil Gaines. This movie's known for its cast. Forrest Whitaker, Oprah Winfrey's in this film, John Cusack, Terrence Howard's in it, David Oyelowo, Alan Rickman, Robin Williams in one of his final film roles. A year before he passed away, but one of his final handful of film roles. So The Butler was a movie that had him in it. had Terrence Howard. But probably a very good role for him also came in 2013, and it was a movie that I saw in theaters. It was the movie Prisoners, starring Hugh Jackman and a couple other, Hugh Jackman and Terrence Howard. Hugh Jackman is the lead guy in the movie, and Jake Gyllenhaal. So Hugh Jackman and Jake Gyllenhaal kind of head the cast. Viola Davis is in it, Maria Bello, Terrence Howard. And Terrence Howard plays... The movie's about two daughters. One daughter of Hugh Jackman's character, another daughter of Terrence Howard's character. They get abducted. And Hugh Jackman has to try to save his daughters. And Hugh Jackman and Terrence Howard, they go out and try to save their daughters. And they come upon a man who could have taken the kids. You know, good evidence that they did. And they torture the guy for information. And you can see in Terrence Howard's eyes, you can see in his acting that he's very committed to the role, first of all, because he's very hesitant about the way Hugh Jackman treats that character, treats he's not a bad guy, but the guy who supposedly, in his eyes, kidnapped the kids. So I think it's one of Terrence Howard's better roles. I have seen him in a few films, personally. This one probably has to be my favorite. So, Prisoners was a very good film anyway. It's a film I highly recommend. It's not an easy film to watch, but I highly recommend it. Like I mentioned, he was in the movie Sabotage. He probably was... Last year, he was in the movie Sabotage. He probably distinguished himself a little bit, but it wasn't his best role. And then also he was in the movie St. Vincent from last year, starring Bill Murray and Melissa McCarthy. And a kid actor who I don't know what his name is, but yeah, Terrence Howard had a supporting role in the film. From what I see on his filmography, he doesn't have any films coming out this year at all, and nothing really coming up for the future. I haven't really heard much about what he's going to be in. I can't think of anything off the top of my head. So that'll be it for the movie segment. And now we get into television. Starting out in his career, he was in a few TV shows. The TV show Family Matters, he was in an episode of that in 1994. He was in an episode of the TV show Coach in 1994. He makes his first stab at television with the TV show Sparks. And he is a supporting player in the show. It only ran for two seasons and 40 episodes from 1996 to 1998. But you kind of had him in it. You know, he was one of the main characters in the show. So his first stab at television. He also was in a few Law & Order reincarnations. Law & Order L.A. He was in Law & Order L.A. From 2010 to 2011. Law & Order L.A. Was actually one of the few Law & Order spin-offs that wasn't successful. It only ran for one season and 22 episodes. Of course, Law & Order is known as a very popular show. Very popular show. Law & Order L.A. just didn't do it. And this was another appearance, another TV... This is another sitcom, not sitcom, but TV main appearance by Terrence Howard that didn't really work out. for him. He was also in an episode of Law and Order Special Victims Unit, or SVU. That actually has lasted longer. Law and Order SVU, 16 seasons, as a matter of fact. One of the most successful spin-offs of the original Law and Order. 2012, he was in an episode of Hawaii Five-0. But he really made a mark in television with the TV show Empire. Empire's a historic TV show. He plays, actually, Lucius Lyon, who is a former thug, a former street thug from the ghetto, who gets out of that ghetto lifestyle by forming his own record company. Needless to say, it's a lot of drama. There's a lot of drama. He has a wife that wants control of the company because he used her money to finance it. There's a son that's gay. It's like a black soap opera, basically. And I don't mean to sound racist at all or anything like that. I hope I'm not sounding it, but it's a blackified soap opera. It's a blackified soap opera, basically. I would like to check out this show at some point. I have not seen it. I wanted to see it. I wanted to DVR it, but I never did get around to seeing it. But it's a historic show because it's one of the few shows, I think it's on Fox. It is one of the few TV shows in history that the ratings for each episode went up as the season went on. That just does not happen in television. Empire was historic in that aspect. So yeah, Terrence Howard has made a name for himself in the television universe as well as the movie universe. And then also in 2015, he was in 3 episodes of the show Wayward Pines, which is sort of a horror-like TV show. It's a 10-episode American television series. I think it's only meant as 10 episodes, actually, but yeah, Wayward Pines came out this year as well. I've seen a lot of trailers on TV for it, a lot of commercials, and I do see that he is in this TV show. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, in terms of video games, he was in the video game Iron Man that came out in 2008, and he also released an album as well. He had a studio album, Shine Through It was called, and on the charts, US Billboard 200, it made number 31. So yeah, he's also a singer. Add that to his list of career accomplishments. But he only did release the one studio album. So that is pretty much it for Terrence Howard and his illustrious career. I mean, like I said before, the guy is not, I know him from, obviously, his face and all that, and I've identified face with name, but I don't think a lot of other film fans would know that, because I think he is one of those guys that it's like, Terrence Howard, who? But then they look at his face, and it's like, oh, that guy. Oh, War Machine, or the guy from Prisoners, or Empire, Lucius Lyon. So I think Empire has actually made him a better known name, actually, to a lot of people in particular. I think that, Iron Man, Prisoners, I think those movies have really made him a good, more of a recognizable name. So now it's like Terrence Howard. Oh, the guy from Iron Man and Prisoners and the Empire TV show. So yeah, I think with those appearances and maybe some other ones as well that I'm missing, he definitely he definitely has made a name for himself. He has absolutely been a supporting actor for a long time. And in a lot of his movie appearances, he is mainly the supporting guy. So he is not a lead actor in any sense of the word, but he's a leading TV man now with Empire. He is the main character in Empire. So, and supporting actors, they can get a lot of success in Hollywood. They definitely can. Just ask guys like Samuel L. Jackson, or and many other people like that. So, that is it for this video on Terrence Howard. D-Rock 1992 out.